Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, I'm down at Andy Sills Motorcycles in Southsea again, and today I'm taking out this 1996 Yamaha Thundercat. It's a 600cc. It's had one owner. Andy recently bought this from the original owner who bought it. It's got 24,000 miles on it. It's, it's a little bit in places, it needs to be cleaned up, but it's actually in really good running order, so it's going to be fun to take this out for a spin. Already warmed up, so let's get going, shall we? Now, nearly every time I say that in one of these videos, a car pulls out or something happens and I have to stop and then cut, and it always annoys me. Hey, we actually pulled out for once. Okay, this does feel very super sporty. Leant over, but not that uncomfortably so yet. That may develop in time. I just want to say an absolutely massive thank you to Andy, because this is something I've wanted to do for a very long time, is to get onto some older sports bikes and things. And obviously the main companies, they only want to lend you the latest and greatest, newest thing that they can sell now, not, something from, well, 96 is a while ago. Now, as I always try and do in these videos, I'm going to get out of the city, which will give me the opportunity to try this in a city and then get out of the city. Now, obviously, I've barely got into the revs here because I'm just getting out of town, but so far it feels pretty smooth. The clutch isn't very heavy. The gearbox has got quite a throw on it, but it clicks. It's got a clunk to it, but it's like, it's not a lot of effort. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier on. This bike has had one owner from new. It's done 24,000 miles in all those years, which means it's done less than 1,000 miles a year. I mean, that's something that happens a lot, it seems. People buy a bike and it just sits there and just doesn't get used that much. But it seems like he used it just a little bit, but regularly enough. Because it's kept it sort of, all functioning. If you leave a bike for 10 years and don't touch it, it's going to be a problem. If you ride it a few times a year for 10 years, I don't know, it just seems to keep them more alive. Maybe it keeps all the rubbers softer and, it just gets the fluids going, and I suppose you do maintenance and stuff while you're doing that. And MOTing it, so it's good for it. Letting them just sit and rot, I can't stand stuff like that. Oh my god, I will get out of this city at some point. Let's have a look at the dash as we're here. Got these cool old school dials with the speed on the left, revs there, temperature here, which is remarkably low. My XJ6 currently would be cooking Muscat. I'm nearly out the city, I'm getting there, and I really want to be able to open this up because I just want to hear it. Now, inline fours, you have to properly rev them out to hear them, and I can't do that in town. This tells you about how much the world has changed. The speedo is all the way down there, and you have to properly look down there and look for it to see what speed you're going. It didn't matter back in the day because you weren't going to get done by a camera every 2 seconds, but now you'd be like, right, am I doing 30? Right, I better be doing at least 28 to 29, because otherwise the car's going to go right up my arse in a minute. But if I go over that, they're going to find me at 31. Oh god, now I'll crash into a wall looking up and down. I just want to say a huge thanks to my patrons who make this channel possible. They're people who support the channel, get early access to videos ad-free. You can be on my Discord and play games with me, talk to me, message me. It's much easier through there than other ways. And it can all be done for as little as about $1 a month. Links are in the description. And I say thank you to everyone who is a patron. You're legends, and you allow me to do fun things like this. Wasp and helmet, get out. That was an actual wasp. Crisis averted. Okay, so let's take a closer look at it. As I say, this is a Yamaha YZF600R from '96, known as the Thundercat. And he's got this up for sale for under $2,000. It has got a few cosmetic things because it's obviously fallen on this side. It's got a little bit of a scrape here. This piece of plastic's a little pushed in there. But, and there's, there's like the seat probably needs recovering. But beyond that and a bit of tidying up on the paint, it's actually pretty damn clean. As I say, it feels like it's running fine, but I'm going to get to actually open it up in a minute down this way. I always thought they looked a little bit like a fish with this kind of like big mouth. It's like, nom, nom. I always kind of like that about them. It looks nice. It's got that sort of smooth, classic-y look to it. It's also got what I assume are data dots, and he's got these everywhere. It's like here, and they're on the mirrors and a couple of other places on the bike. Okay, I'm going to stick this in now. This is filmed at the end of the video, basically. I'm waiting to get to Andy's because someone's blocked his entrance, and I the access to his business. No, the driveway to his place he sells bikes. I thought I'd have a quick look at the controls. I didn't mention it. The levers are really far out. Like, I have big hands, okay, and you have to really get out there to grab them. You've got your pass light, you've got your choke, you've got high beam, low beam, indicators, horn, kill switch, lights on and off switch, and start button. As you can see, like, this, the lacquering that was on it is peeled. That could do with rubbing back and, you know, re-lacquering or something like that. Let's get going. I'm about to find out what the suspension's like. Oh god, where is it? Where is it? There it is! I do very much feel like I'm sat on top of this bike. You know, my XJ6 feels like I'm down inside it. This feels like I'm perched right on the tippy top. Kind of, you know, it's not quite 1000 RR bent over, but it's getting more that way. Okay, it definitely picks up when it gets up the revs, up to about, you know, 10,000-11,000 RPM. It really picks up. Thank you, mate, with your death machine. Oh, I've got to get used to this style. Munched pheasant. This bike does feel like it's got a bit of heft to it. Now, getting it through tight corners and that, it's fine, but it does feel like, I don't know, it's an older bike. I suppose it's not going to feel like more modern stuff. It just seems to take a lot of effort to actually ride this thing. But when it comes to, like, you know, just cruising sat comfortably, it's really quite nice because it's got long gears. So you can stay in one gear really and just use the revs. It appears to have surprising torque low down, and it really does get going up round, you know, 10,000-11,000. It's surprising how different this engine feels to my XJ6 engine though, I think. Or maybe I'm just that much more used to that bike. That's the problem when I make comparisons of bikes that I've owned for years and done thousands of miles on. And I've only ridden this one for, well, an hour so far or something like that. The brakes, they're alright, but you really do have to grab them. You haven't quite got the ability to pull a couple of fingers and get a really good amount of brake. Well, I suppose unless you pull right at this end, and even then it seems they may just need a bit of maintenance to them. You know, this is an older bike. Okay, so as you may know, I am 6'4", and as I say, this has got a super sport sort of seating position, somewhere between the two. This is not sports tourer, because you're way lent over. But if you don't mind this position, you don't have, like, you know, a bad back or anything like that, you could tour on this, if that's your sort of thing. I mean, if you have a tank bag on it, oh, you could lay on your tank bag. Oh, that'd be great then. The suspension feels firm, but also a little boingy in places, if you know what I mean. Like big hits, it's a little but it's also firm at the same time. It's got the exact sort of feel to the steering you'd expect from a bike like this. It is quite heavy. Oh god, this road's getting worse. You probably can't see that, but that road is not flat. I am getting a little bit of a numb hand actually. But that's something I've noticed a bit more over recent years from some bikes. I'm wondering whether all this riding I've done over the years is starting to have some carpal tunnel effects or something, I don't know. Or maybe it's thin grips that you have to really lean on, I don't know. They're quite skinny, that's one thing actually, yeah, these grips are quite skinny. But they're not, then my XJ6 I've got heated grips on and I'm used to that now. You can feel the age of this bike, not in a bad way, in the sense it feels just, you know, a little bit less refined maybe than ours, a bit more raw. There's a lot of character to it, that's for sure. And it is quick. The gearbox is, I think the gears are all a little bit long, it's a bit hard to tell. Get on the power. Oh, I was wrong. It's got 27,000 miles on it. Oh, okay. Look, okay, I've been sat still now. Now, if the XJ6, my one, was doing what I've just done, it would, as I say, be up around 90 degrees at least. The second you got down to a stop there, it would have just flown into triple digits. The fan would have come on and it would have just chucked tons of heat at you. This thing is just so much cooler and it's like the same sort of engine. It's just, it's quite a surprise. I believe this is carbed. It should be carbed at this age and it's got a choke. It's very smooth, this engine as well. You can feel a little bit of vibrations, but given that it's, you know, an inline 4, I mean, they are smooth, they're known for it, but it's, even if something of this age, you're quite surprised that it's that well balanced feeling. And obviously its willingness to just spool up. I know my XJ6 does 70 miles an hour at 7,000 RPM in 6th. I want to know what this bike does, but I'm not going to find that out on this side of the road because, oh my god, it's busy the old way as well. Okay, so there's 70 miles an hour indicated, 6th gear, 5,000 RPM. That's a big difference, and it's something about the gearing, it's something about the way these engines work. I know this bike has got 100 horsepower rather than the 78 that the XJ6 has got, but it doesn't feel like an extra 30 brake. It feels a lot more. There's also something about this bike that I won't go into exact details, but let's just say it seems to really like squishing one of my particulars, of which I have a couple, if you know what I'm saying. It's also interesting because, as I say, when I was looking at bikes when I was younger, I was looking at Thundercats, and for that reason the Thundercat was one of those bikes I was like, I'd really like to ride that and see what it's like. And it's not a bike I think I would get on with entirely for the seating position. If they had something that was, you know, without clip-ons, bars up here somewhere, it might be a bit better for me. Oh, actually, before we get to Andy's, I want to do a U-turn test, a turn in the road to see what the steering angle. Dear God, what was that? That's some sort of hydraulic piling machine? A piles machine? Okay, let's try turning the road here. It's odd because you have to get your hand right into the tank. Oh, that's disconcerting. Okay, it's got a tighter turning circle than you might think, but that does require you to get your hand right on into the tank. So there you go, that is a 1996 Yamaha Thundercat. The bike feels great, it feels tight, it feels good, new almost. But it is definitely, it feels of its time, it feels a bit heavier, the steering's a bit heavier, the whole seat position for me is a bit of a thing. But yeah, very characterful. And I'm very pleased that I've been able to ride one and tick that off the list of bikes that I have ever managed to get my butt onto. And many of those are ticked thanks to Andy down in Southsea, as I say. Thank you, Andy. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to take this out. So this is available right now for under £2,000. Great project bike, I think. You could just take it and use it and ride it and do whatever you need with it, or you could take it and you could clean it up and do all sorts. I think it would be pretty cool. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, and if you want to help support this channel, you can do that through Patreon. Links in the description. Bye-bye.